Let's cross now live to my co-anchor Desiree Chauke, who is at the venue. A very good morning to you, Desiree.
Blaine, thank you, and good morning again to our viewers. We're coming to you from the Wanderers Cricket Stadium, and it's the highlight of the centenary calendar here. People are starting to stream in. The excitement is in the air. No less than 8 current and former presidents will be here this afternoon to listen to the address of the 44th American President Barack Obama when he honors Mandela, with this year's talk being titled Renewing Mandela Legacy and promoting active citizenship. And we just like to bring into shot, he's on the side right now, the manager of the stadium to tell us about the logistics that went into organizing an event of this magnitude. Cyril Martins, welcome to the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Cyril, what was your role in putting together this event?
Yeah, my role is purely from a venue manager's point of view, and I was very much involved in the planning together with SABC and the event organizers.
What did it take?
Well, it took a lot of hard work and long hours of planning, and this is obviously the biggest event that this venue has ever hosted. I know we do the Pink Day here, which is a major event for us, but I suppose at the end of the day, the Pink Day is basically a massive cricket.
It's essentially a cricket event for cancer, and that's one of the big ones as well. But how prepared are you today?
Yeah, I think from a logistics point of view and a safety and security point of view, we are very, very, very prepared.
And what can our viewers expect?
I think the viewers can expect quite a fantastic show. I think it's a show, and I think the important thing is who better to pay tribute to the great Nelson Mandela than Barack Obama.
At a personal level for you, what does it mean that in one event you'll be surrounded by about at least 8 current and former presidents?
Well, I've been privileged to have been at another venue in Cape Town where the late President Nelson Mandela was, and that was one person. Here it's an absolute privilege to be hosting all the dignitaries.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to us. Cyril Martin is part of the management of the Wanderers Cricket Club. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to bring in Sylvester now. Sylvester is a fashion designer, and she's one of the people streaming in as part of the guests. And tell us how you got to be here.
I'm just one of the best designers in the country, and from doing work with Africa Fashion International, I think that's how I found myself in this.
And fashion is very much a part of how we develop society in South Africa, isn't it? Tell me what your role is.
We've got such a diverse cultures. It's so exciting to be part of the people that actually kind of add more flavor and mix to it, and kind of redefine it and make it a bit more current and palatable. Yeah.
So today is a bit of a chilly day, but it's getting warmer. What do you think we can expect in terms of fashion?
I've already seen so many ladies wearing bright, beautiful colors, the traditional regalia. So the weather is really not playing an influence in how people are dressed up, and that's exciting. So we're going to see more color, more people literally in their traditional regalia. Yeah.
Tell us about your work with AFI.
I've showcased with them a number of times, obviously celebrating African fashion and putting African fashion on an international platform. Yeah.
Just to give the viewer at home a sense of occasion, when you arrive, you received your program.
Yeah.
I don't know if our camera can zoom into it. Tell us about the program and that blanket that you received.
It's a beautiful, bright-colored blanket. Obviously, I chose the brightest color they had. It does have the logo there and the booklet with.
So now you're going to go onto your seat. Hope you enjoy the event, and SABC News will continue to broadcast this event, the pre-event activities up to the actual event starting at 2 p.m. But right now, we're going to go up to Peter Ndoro, who who is in the makeshift studio upstairs. He's with an analyst, Peter.
Desiree, thanks very much indeed, and a very, very good morning to all of you, wherever you may be watching this special broadcast and special coverage that we'll be bringing you from Wanderers Stadium throughout the course of this afternoon. As Desiree has done already, has painted quite a picture. And this venue, people have started streaming in already, and they're going to be seated well before President Barack Obama delivers his inaugural, in fact, his only. I wonder if there's anyone who's ever been able to do it more than once, but he'll be delivering this year's Nelson Mandela lecture. And there's luminaries of guests that have been invited that are going to be part of the audience. And in total, we're expecting about 14,000 people that are going to hear Barack Obama deliver his speech. From this studio that's here at Wanderers Stadium, I'm going to be joined by Luando Klaso, who's an attorney by profession, but an historian as well, and a commentator, I think. And you've been watching this Mandela and Obama story for some time, and I think you wrote something recently in one of the publications. And I just wonder, just before we start to see the stadium fill up and you see the stage there, your thoughts when two men, great in their own lifetimes and in their own contributions, kind of meet in this way, one spiritually and one in the flesh, at a lecture such as this?
I mean, maybe I should start off by saying that I'm a historian in the making. I'm a constitutional lawyer, and I'm sort of on a journey of studying the history of constitutionalism in South Africa. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to spend the day with you and to experience this. I think we're talking about two figures who are very galvanizing, two figures who can bring people together, whether dead or alive. They just have that power and that ability, to bring us all into sort of one space where we can reflect and have some kind of thoughtfulness. And I think my passion is looking at what it takes to be a leader, and what it takes to be a leader of a country such as ours, which shares so many similarities with the United States. And I think Barack Obama, or should I say President Obama, will be able to speak to this moment. And I don't think Africa or South Africa is very foreign to him. So I'm looking forward to a great address. I have very high expectations. So yeah.
And he's a great speaker, isn't he, Barack Obama?
My favorite, one of my favorite.
So, when one starts doing the research and trying to read about this, and it might be a stretch, I don't know, but I get a sense that Nelson Mandela influenced Barack Obama, or Barack Obama was very influenced by Nelson Mandela, and that maybe even his decision to become president or run for presidency in the States might have been affected by his meeting of Nelson Mandela.
Definitely so. I mean, he writes about it all the time, that his first sort of act of political activism was the anti-apartheid struggle. And then he sort of got to know of Nelson Mandela remotely. And I think as his life progressed in politics and his first trip to South Africa in 2006, I think he really, really was influenced by him. And I mean, it's a stretch to say, but Nelson Mandela's legacy as our first black president is that it helped produce America's first black president. And that black president acknowledges that. I mean, when he was here for the first time in 2006, he wasn't really planning on running for the 2008 election. I think there was something about his visit here, Nelson Mandela's gravity in South Africa, and sort of the euphoria which greeted Obama when he was here, that really sort of prompted him to run. And also, he came at a time when US sort of relations with the rest of the world were really strained. And I think he saw an opportunity of providing some kind of unity that Mandela was able to capture. And some may say just for a moment, but I think was able to tap into that energy. And I'm sure he'll say it himself, that he was very much influenced by him and the standard that he set.
What do you think we might hear from Barack today?
I think, one thing I've noticed is that since he left office, he's been very quiet. He hasn't really been in the limelight, and it's part of the tradition of American presidents that once they leave office, you give the person who's now stepping into your shoes some time to sort of, lead, and without you distracting them. So there have been certain things that I'm sure he's observed that have been disturbing to him, but he's really been disciplined in not speaking out at every moment. And I think we're going to hear 2 years worth of reflection today. not only, on America, but the world, and particularly our situation. I'm hoping to hear about activism, grassroots mobilization, that if we want the world to change, it starts with us. And I think that's going to be his message, that, it's about the small efforts. It doesn't have to be about some big, political act. And I think a message of living the legacy, living Nelson Mandela's legacy, is that you can start with your own personal agency. And I'm just ready for it.
Have there been any similarities? I mean, it's hard to compare people, but when you talk about service, because President Obama could have been a wealthy lawyer in his time, but he chose service, didn't he? And when you start looking at Madiba, same story, where he put himself in harm's way. He could have just run his law practice and made a bit of money, and but instead these people
chose the difficult path.
path.
I think there are similarities. I mean, both are lawyers, both are first black presidents, and also both have had to compromise without being compromised in order to sort of achieve their bigger goals. I think they are very skilled at navigating different worlds. I think they're very skilled at tapping into the different languages of people. Because if you're going to unify a country, you better be agile in terms of how you move across the color line, cultural lines, and just spatial divide, whether it's the rural areas or urban areas. I think both of them have that language where whatever room you put them in, they're able to connect with people and also bring out the best in people. And I think that's a 1 in a million kind of skill. And it's the universality of their language that I really appreciate, that no matter where you come from, there's something in their message that you can sort of grasp and hold on to.
All right, so whilst we have 14,000 people here at the venue, people will be watching it across the country.
And the world.
And the world. This is where I was going, actually.
Yeah.
Because both of them were global citizens.
Yeah.
Although South Africa, we will own Nelson Mandela, America will try and own Barack Obama, but they were global citizens. I wonder if President Obama is mindful that whilst he's on the stage here in South Africa, he actually probably has a message for the world.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on in the world right now in terms of threats to democracy, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in Latin America, and the US itself, where democratic institutions are being eroded, where you have erratic leadership and self-serving leadership. And I think South Africa is not the only audience for this speech. I think there are people, beyond our shores who really need to hear what he has to say, and who also miss his kind of thoughtful leadership. So, yeah.
And I suppose when you're in office, you're tired of it. You can say so much, but only get to a certain point. And now he's out of office, he's sort of able to express himself. Might we see the Senator Barack Obama, more than President Obama today?
I'm hoping to see community organizer Obama from the 80s, from the early 90s. I'm hoping to see unrestrained Obama, but I think having been in office, I think you can't help but be influenced by the kind of constraints that he came across, and also he has a sense of the world that a lot of activists and protesters just don't know. So I think even though he's out of office, he has a global sense of what's going on. And I think there's a responsibility that comes with that. You can't just speak recklessly. And I think he'll be mindful, but I'm hoping to see a bit of that galvanizing force, that community organizer that's going to get people to vote. Yeah.
All right, Luanda, we've got quite a lot to discuss, and we've got quite a bit of time as well. But Desiree Chauke is down in the stadium area, and she's been getting a lot of guests since this morning, and I know she's got somebody right now. So let's cross to her now. Desiree, who are you chatting to?